Welcome to Business Now, the show bringing you the latest from the world of business. I'm Malcolm Musime, your host. This program is sponsored by Absa Bank Uganda, which is running a campaign now called Custody Banking. The initiative aims to enhance Uganda's capital markets by offering safekeeping, settlement, and securities services to institutional investors. It also strengthens the local financial markets. In today's episode, we highlight Eagle Air, which has just received a Regional Standard Service Award. We speak with the company secretary about the significance of the recognition and the outlook for Uganda's charter flight sector. We also explore green energy and conservation with the British High Commissioner at Uganda, Lisa Chesney, who discusses UK's commitment to sustainability at a recent reception marking King Charles III's 77th birthday. Finally, we take a look at the e-mobility in Uganda and the growth of electric transport in the country. But first, let's have a look at some of the businesses that are making headlines and dominating debate across global markets. The US Federal Reserve is expecting to raise interest rates again in December to combat persistent inflation. This could lead to tighter financial conditions globally, especially for emerging markets. And from this story, we see that African countries could face higher borrowing costs and potential capital outflows as investors seek safer, high-yielding assets in the US. And African businesses may, at the end of the day, experience reduced access to cheaper financing. European Union's Green Deal has hit roadblocks in the European Parliament, delaying critical climate policies aimed at achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. And the delay in the EU's green transition could slow the pace of renewable energy investments in African markets, where billions are being invested. However, some experts believe that African countries could benefit by positioning themselves as alternative green energy suppliers to Europe in the long term. China is implementing new reforms to boost domestic consumption and reduce reliance on exports amid slowing economic growth. And this is why this story is important, because in this part of the world, in Africa, economies could see a dip in demand for their exports, particularly in commodities like oil and minerals. However, the growing Chinese middle class could also open new markets for African consumer goods and technology. This is Business Now. Uganda's charter aviation sector is in focus after Eagle Air received the Regional Standard Service Award, which shows rising safety and service benchmarks in the industry. We speak to Emmanuel Rubombora, the Maintenance and Quality Manager at Eagle Air, and then Sarah Cassini, the Company Secretary, on what the recognition for the carrier and the outlook for the charter operations in Uganda means.
I think it's quite interesting because, and let me say, we are also quite glad that we have received the award. We are glad that amongst 8 East African countries within the service sector and within the SME sector, they could look at us and evaluate and choose. And maybe that's probably the key. With regards to quality, the people who have been involved in this process are the national standard, Bureau of Standards within the different East African community member states. And each of them would field their national winners. They have done an evaluation of participants within their country, and they forwarded their national winners to be evaluated on an East African community basis. With this service award, we're not looking at just aviation, we're looking at all sorts of service industries within East Africa. Quality is a very interesting word when you look at our economy, because most times we associate it with the way maybe a brand looks or how it feels, but there are so many different processes that go into making something quality. And for us as Eagle Air, and probably why they looked at us and evaluated, because it was quite a long process we had to submit, was that we have an established system that allows us to give a particular determined outcome. So our desire is to give, and our vision is to be an excellent air transport service provider within Africa. And for us to be able to do that, we put in place certain things to ensure that we give a specific product at the end of the day, which is delivering proper air transport services, along with other services which provide, because we are also an aircraft maintenance organization, and we provide ancillary aviation services. And I think our processes have been tried and tested because we are certified for ISO quality management system. Some of the companies that applied may or may not have that certification, and the certification is not just a certificate. It means that we have systems in place, we have manuals. You look behind here, these are all manuals for every aspect of how we do our work.
The good thing about Eagle Air is that we have established a foundation in terms of our technical abilities, our approvals. So we have our approved maintenance organization, our air operator certificate, and these allow us to operate internationally. So we are not restricted to domestic flight alone, and we do operate outside the borders of Uganda as well. So this gives us the foundation necessary in order to expand and grow because of the necessary infrastructure that we have. Not just physical infrastructure, but technical infrastructure and regulatory compliance. And this has been one of our good assets. We are able to skill people to a standard in which they can go out and perform in other companies and other industries. People that pass through Eagle Air are working internationally, and many of them are working within the industry. So I think our record is there in terms of the skilled personnel that have come from Eagle Air. We are not a training organization approved by CAA. However, skills and experience are attained from Eagle Air from on-the-job training. People do on-the-job training after they've got the necessary approvals from CAA, or even before, when they are building their knowledge and skill in the industry, and then they attain their necessary certifications along the way.
I think that overall, and I'll speak about our passengers, but let me say overall, I think there is a desire amongst Ugandans to travel within their country by air. I think that they have seen, especially for those who have traveled in other places, they're seeing people being able to fly domestically, be able to access different parts of the country easily. I'll give you an example. For traveling our domestic schedule to Arua, if you're traveling on the road, you're looking at 7-8 hours on the road. But if you fly with us, it's an hour and 15 minutes. That's a very, the cost of doing business. There's so many benefits that come with that, as well as access, because Arua is in a border town, so you're being able to access DRC, you're able to access South Sudan. But even for the ordinary Ugandan, just being able to go home or bring a sick patient home, that's something that I think people aspire to. Now, moving forward to the realities on ground, there's a lot of infrastructural development that still needs to happen to enable affordable and reliable air transport services to happen domestically. Regionally, it's growing, but even domestically, we still have some distance to go. And as a result, the cost of being able to fly domestically is quite high, and I think that makes it prohibitive for most people to do so.
And the UK has reaffirmed its commitment to green growth in Uganda, with British High Commissioner Lisa Chesney saying new priorities in conservation and clean energy during a reception at her residence in Kampala to mark King Charles's 2nd birthday are ongoing. Her remarks highlighted the UK's focus on long-term climate partnerships and sustainable investment. Recent UK programs in Uganda include a £5 million electric cooking initiative, a £9 million satellite-based climate monitoring project, and support aimed at mobilizing up to £240 million in private renewable energy investments. That's across the country.
Climate, nature, and green growth. Now, I had to mention that early because I could imagine in today's climate, there might be some of you that are thinking, has the High Commission come out and is declaring for the Democratic Party? Head to toe in green. So it will disappoint Minister Mal to know that I haven't, that this is all about the theme for the evening. And let me first of all thank Reform Africa. I think they are somewhere out here for your brilliant work, fashioning plastic waste into very desirable accessories. A small advert here. So the recycled bag and the green dress are really just in tune with the theme of tonight. And they're to reflect a theme that is incredibly dear to His Majesty King Charles III. He was campaigning for conservation before many of us were even born. And actually, his son and his heir, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, joined my Prime Minister at COP in Brazil. That's the commitment that our royal family has to climate and nature, and why we've made it so central tonight. Now, I think some of you have seen, tonight we're also hosting the 61st edition of the British Natural History Museum's Wildlife Photographer of the Year Award. Now, this is the world's most prestigious nature photography competition. You can see entries from all over the globe, 60,000 entries globally. And I can tell you that Uganda is only one of 10 countries that's hosting this exhibition. Uganda is a biodiversity superpower. It's home to over half of Africa's bird species, over 40% of the continent's mammals. Now, this is just one example of a decades-long partnership between the UK and Uganda on climate, on nature, and on green growth. We've worked with the Ministry of Finance to launch the inaugural Climate Finance Unit, unlocking millions in funding. Our Climate Smart Job programme has supported Uganda's agro-industrialisation ambitions by mobilising $22 million of private capital for SMEs. Benefiting from Minister Ruth's leadership, the UK has worked with the ministry and companies like Gridworks to transmit green power to where it's really needed. And I was particularly proud to co-launch the Clean Cooking Unit with Minister Ruth to support Uganda's ambitious target of 50% of the population transitioning to clean cooking by 2030. Now, our partnership extends beyond climate. And we've achieved an awful lot together this year, UK and Uganda. Our export finance portfolio now stands at over $1 billion, with a further $1 billion in the pipeline. And today, 15 leading Ugandan coffee companies are showcasing their blends at the Manchester Coffee Festival, building on an impressive 1.2 million exports that they've already achieved. And of course, the British Council here tonight continues working with Uganda's imaginative creative sector to unlock growth in the services sector as well. Now, some people have asked me, why do we place so much importance about growth? Why do you keep talking about growth? Well, done well, inclusive green growth can help protect wildlife. It can enhance rights. It can create job opportunities for whoever you are and wherever you're from Kampala to Kipkum to Kabale and more. And it's not just growth that's in our partnership. Our health partnership continues to deliver life-saving results. The UK National Health Service has helped train 13,000 Ugandan health workers in the last 2 years on issues from kidney transplants to cardiac imaging. And what those NHS experts tell me is that they learn as much from Uganda as Ugandans tell me they learn from their UK colleagues. And we work together to sustain Uganda's world-leading refugee response and remain committed to work with the government of Uganda. I know it's incredibly tough.
Uganda's electric transport market is accelerating, with more than 1,600 electric vehicles registered imported into the first half of 2024, signaling growing consumer demand. But the sector faces steep taxes and limited charging network. I will sit down with Victoria Nansamba, the country sales director at Gordon EV Auto, which is calling for zero taxes on easy spare parts, complete zero taxes, and nationwide charging infrastructure to unlock the country's e-mobility potential.
These electric cars are source of current with the new technology Ugandans should embrace. Concerning the fuel fluctuations, one is saved from the fuel fluctuations in the country. They are eco-friendly since they don't produce emissions. Since we brought these cars last year, that is in 2024, we tried to communicate through word of mouth, and we are so excited and surprised that people came in here, did test drives, and they gave positive response. So that was a surprise to us that they are willing to onboard the fully electric cars and the new innovations in the country. What I know is currently we still pay the VAT. It was restated, it was never cut. We still pay the VAT and we still pay the taxes on the spare parts. lucky enough, we buy these spare parts from sole dealers. We buy them from the manufacturers. So the costs are not so high, so we endure. The government might be serious because in March this year, they opened the Amber House charging station. And for these private dealers, us inclusive, it will be a grand opportunity to take part in installing the charging stations in order to help the government achieve its target by 2030. And as Gordon EV Auto, we are importing these charging stations next year. The numbers seem unrealistic, but we say the charging stations you're talking about, maybe they include the motorcycle swapping stations. So currently the charging stations in the country are limited. They're around 7. Each manufacturer or each car bonder or dealer places a charging station according to the movement of their clients. Let me say like Kira Motors has a charging stations stationed according to their customers. One is in Entebbe for the civil aviation and they follow their customers. City Oil has, since they recently gave out free EVs to their clients, so we have a charging station in Kamocha City Oil. The government also has one. That one we have at Amber House, and as Gordon EV we are also planning to bring in more to follow our customers. The current challenge we have, charging stations don't have tariffs. The government hasn't released tariff rates, so we use the domestic rates. For example, we say for the least electric vehicle has 300 kilometers and charged domestically, it costs 30,000. Those are around approximately 48 Yaka units. So if the government releases tariff rates lower than that, we believe the costs will be lower and it will benefit those who install the charging stations. For an EV, it should be serviced every after 20,000 kilometers. So that is way cheaper compared to the fuel vehicles. What we do under the 20,000 kilometers is we check the battery health. We have to, you go to a service station, they check the health of the battery, then they also check the coolant, they check the motors that help the car move, they check all the machines in that. We also request the government to help the car bonders with the lowering of the taxes, because we pay 100% taxes. We pay all the taxes that the car importers pay. We also request for infrastructures, the charging stations as promised, because this is their initiative. They started it. We request them to help us push to the heights. Yes, and also sensitization, sensitizing the masses and the Ugandans about the advantages of having an electric vehicle over the fuel vehicles.
Let's look at the capital markets now. The International Monetary Fund has concluded its post-financing assessment of Uganda, reporting stronger economic momentum and improved expandable fund. An IMF-led team by Yasmin Rahman said growth reached 6.3% in the financial year 2024-25, with inflation staying below the Bank of Uganda's 5% medium target. Reserves also strengthened on the back of higher exports, capital inflows, and stepped-up foreign exchange purchases by the central bank. However, the fund flagged the significant fiscal deterioration in the financial year 24-25, driven by higher current spending and one-off costs. While the near-term outlook remains favorable and is expected to improve further as oil production begins in 2026-27, the IMF warned of downside risks from global financial conditions and potential fiscal slippages. The assessment found Uganda's capacity to repay debt, the funds remains adequate, and the IMF Executive Board will consider the PFA in January 2026. So this is what it means for the local financial markets, because the IMF's latest assessment is broadly positive. As experts said, it will fuel stronger investor confidence with that growth rose to 6.3%. Inflation also stays low and reserves improve on the back of higher exports and capital flows. So these indicators support shilling stability at the end of the day and sustain appetite for government securities although the fund's warning on fiscal slippage suggests increased borrowing that could push yields upward. Medium-term sentiment is lifted by expectations of oil production beginning 2026 and 27, but investors there, they may remain cautious given global financial risks and domestic budget pressures. Overall, the review points to stable but selective investment conditions, with fixed income markets likely to benefit most in the near term. That's according to the International Monetary Fund. And that's all for this edition of Business Now, sponsored by Absa Bank Uganda, which is running a campaign called Custody Banking. The initiative aims to enhance Uganda's capital markets by offering safekeeping settlements and securities services to institutional investors, strengthening the local financial markets. And if you can ask a local Absa Bank branch about custody banking. I'm Malcolm Sime. For more updates, follow me on X at Malcolm Sime and catch a replay of the show on NTV Uganda's YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. The program is also repeating, or catch a repeat on Friday afternoon. And for the latest regional business news, read the Daily Monitor, Business Daily, and the East Africa. Next up on NTV Tonight, stay tuned for the letters for more factual news on Uganda and the world.